Star Wars 7x7 episode 2747. We're going to continue our series of looks at what is to come in 2022. This time we're focusing on three categories: the streaming services, virtual reality, and video games. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, as I did yesterday, let's get the quick stuff out of the way first. As far as streaming goes, I'm referring to things that they put on Disney Plus that are not live action series like The Book of Boba Fett, for example. So, there are a couple of things that were added to Disney Plus that were very cool that seem like they might actually continue. In particular, I'm thinking about the vehicle fly-throughs and the Galaxy of Sounds. The reason why I think we might see more of these in 2022 is because they are listed as having seasons on Disney Plus. And this is as opposed to the Star Wars Biomes special, which is only listed as a special. It's not listed as having a season with episodes. But vehicle fly-throughs and Galaxy of Sounds both are, and so I feel like we are due to get more of that sometime in 2022. The other thing that I think will probably happen is more just about a date than it is about a specific thing, and that is of course May the 4th. So when that happens, in previous years we've had something new and exciting happen on Disney Plus that was Star Wars related, so every reason to think that that will happen again as well. On the virtual reality front, there's nothing announced, but looking back at the pattern of things, I think we're going to get something this year. So here's what we've seen in the past. With Vader Immortal, all three episodes came out in 2019, and then they did a PlayStation VR port in 2020. Well, with the Galaxy's Edge episodes coming out, the first one came out actually in 2020, and the second part came out in 2021. So I feel pretty confident in thinking that there's going to be a PlayStation VR release sometime in 2022 for that. It's just a matter of when. And the way they did it, it seems like they're going to have a new title released after the PlayStation VR release of Galaxy's Edge. And I think we're probably looking further out for that. So basically, the final installment of Vader Immortal was in November of 2019, and the PlayStation port was in August of 2020, so about 9-ish months later. So we're probably going to get the PlayStation VR port of Last Call for Tales of the Galaxy's Edge. That came out in September, so we might see it as early as Q2 this year, probably more likely Q3, and either late Q3 or early Q4 for whatever new is to come on the virtual reality front. Okay, now let's talk video games. Video games is also pretty thin in a way, but there's still a lot to talk about related to video games. First of all, Star Wars Hunters is due out sometime in 2022. We don't have a date as of yet, but considering that they're targeting, as we talked about yesterday, an untitled novel related to Star Wars Hunters for June of 22, well, it seems like that's, a good place to plant your flag as far as when you think it might come out. The video game, that is. The book already, we know. And, I got to thinking about this because of the whole EA exclusivity agreement, and I was like, how is it that we're getting Star Wars Hunters in 2022 when the exclusivity agreement doesn't end until 2023? Well, the answer to that is that it's only applying to, or maybe it's easier to say what it doesn't apply to. It doesn't apply to games that are on mobile devices or tablets or the web. And so the fact that it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch, that is considered a tablet/mobile device. It's a hybrid console, actually, but that's neither here nor there. For our purposes, it doesn't fall under the exclusivity agreement because of the platforms on which it's being released, which are the Nintendo Switch and then the App Store and Google Play. So there you go. That's how they're getting around that. Now, since we already brought it up, the EA exclusivity agreement ending in 2023, we don't know exactly when, but the news of the announcement was in May of 2013, so let's just say May of 23. And according to Electronic Arts EA, when all these other Star Wars games were announced at the beginning of last year, EA said, yeah, we're still working with Lucasfilm and we've got a number of projects in development. So a number presumes that it is plural, and they basically said that they are working on a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order in a conference call in August of 2021. There's also a lot of hope for a Battlefront 3 game from EA, but there's been nothing officially announced about either of those titles or whether they're working on anything else, whether a number of projects means that it's more than 2. So although the exclusivity agreement is ending, the agreement to continue working together is not. It seems to be in full swing. Oh, and I forgot to mention that another reason why people think that Battlefront 3 could be a possibility is because of social media posts that happened last year with various people who played characters in the story campaign of Battlefront 2. So yeah, that's another thing that's happening. So as far as the rest of 2022 and video games, really the only thing that's going to happen are announcements. We're unlikely to get more video games. Yes, there's the Lego Skywalker Saga. Yes, that's happening as well. Don't want to forget about that. But I think we're really only looking at announcements because of the fact that the exclusivity agreement is still in place. So there's no reason that a game could actually be released that would be, a console game, full console, or a PC game that, wouldn't be an EA game. So we're looking for announcements from EA basically at this point, because the massive open world game from Ubisoft that was revealed in January of last year, well, that is not going to be coming out in 22, and I'd be shocked if it was in 23. And the only other video game thing to talk about here is the Knights of the Old Republic remake by Asper and other folks, which was announced in September of 2021, but whether it's going to happen in 22, who knows? There's no release date on it yet, you would think. And then if they were targeting 22, then they would have said, hey, sometime in 22, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So there you go. That officially is all the news that's fit to print on virtual reality and video games and streaming service extras coming to Star Wars storytelling in 2022. And that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.